Hi there, I'm Rose, and I'm 27 years old. Man, looking back on it now, I can't help but shake my head at the poor choices I made. It's like I settled for Rico, even though deep down I knew he wasn't the one for me. But hey, desperation can make you do crazy things, right? I was afraid of being single again, of being alone. So I thought maybe I could make it work with him. Boy, was I wrong. Rico, my dear old husband, was a real piece of work. Neglectful and unappreciative would be putting it lightly. He had this whole traditional mindset where he believed wives should submit to their husbands without question. And let me tell you, that didn't sit well with me. We clashed like oil and water, constantly bickering over our differences. Our arguments would range from the mundane to the downright absurd. Take household chores, for example. Rico would insist that it was solely my responsibility to keep the house spick and span, while he lounged around like he was the king of the castle. I'd tell him it's a partnership, that we should both contribute, but he'd just brush me off like I was speaking gibberish. All of these household chores can't just fall on me. He scoffed, looking up from his phone. That's your role as a wife, Rose. Taking care of the house is your responsibility. I rolled my eyes, frustration bubbling within me. It's not the 1950s, Rico. We're equal partners here. I work just as hard as you do, and I expect some help around the house. He waved me off dismissively. Don't be so dramatic. Just get it done. Our arguments weren't limited to household matters. They extended to more significant decisions as well. One time, I brought up the idea of pursuing a career change, and he shut me down immediately. You should be grateful for the job you have. Why do you need more? Stick to what you know. I clenched my fists, my voice trembling with determination. Because I have dreams and ambitions, Rico. I want to grow, to challenge myself. Is that too much to ask? He gave me a condescending pat on the head. You'll understand one day that a woman's place is at home. The lack of appreciation was a constant source of disappointment. I put effort into every little thing I did for Rico, hoping to see a glimmer of gratitude. Look, I made your favorite dinner. He glanced at it briefly before returning his attention to the TV. He muttered a thanks, absently, not bothering to savor the meal I had prepared with love. Tears welled up in my eyes as I realized my efforts were in vain. Do you even care, Rico? Do you see how much I do for you? He shrugged, his apathy cutting through me like a knife. You're just doing what you're supposed to do as my wife. Nothing special about it. It was in these moments that I started to wonder why I settled for Rico. The feeling that I deserved better slowly grew on me. Then there was the problem of personal freedom. Rico thought he should have the final say in everything, big or small. It was so frustrating. We'd argue about stuff like what to have for dinner or major life decisions. I wanted a voice, to be an equal partner, but he saw it as a threat to his authority. Funny thing is, looking back, I see that being with Rico was just a quick fix for my fear of being alone. But being in a toxic and unsatisfying relationship is no better than being single. Actually, it's worse. It eats away at your self-esteem and happiness bit by bit until you hardly recognize yourself. I wish I'd had the guts to stand up for myself earlier, to know that I deserved better. But I guess we all learned the hard way. It took me a while to find the strength to break free from that suffocating marriage. But when I did, I felt a glimmer of hope. One day, I made the mistake of bringing up couples therapy. Hey, Rico, I've been thinking, maybe it's time for us to try couples therapy. I really believe it could help us work through our issues. Rico glanced up from his book, his expression indifferent. Therapy? Seriously, Rose? There's no point in wasting our time and money on that. We're fine, I sighed, feeling the weight of disappointment settling in. No, Rico, we're not fine. We argue all the time, and I feel like we're drifting further apart. We need to address these issues and find a way to reconnect. He shrugged dismissively, his tone filled with apathy. There's no need to involve a stranger in our personal matters. Deep down, I knew he wasn't really committed to making our relationship better. but I was desperate to save what we had, thinking therapy might give us a shot. Little did I know, it was just another letdown waiting to happen. Time passed, and the gap between us just got wider. I started looking for comfort and company elsewhere, talking to my close friends about the troubles in my marriage. Their advice kept reminding me that I deserved more and that sticking with an unsatisfying relationship would just bring more heartache. But things changed when Rico mentioned a vacation. I got all excited, thinking maybe it could help us reconnect and find our lost love. I told him I'd start packing, hoping he'd be as excited as I was. To my surprise and disappointment, Rico crushed my hopes with his cold response. "Oh, Rose, you misunderstood. This vacation is for my family. We're going to the Grand Canyon." It hit me like a brick. I wasn't a priority in Rico's life again. The importance of our falling apart relationship was crystal clear as he chose his extended family over me. That disappointment turned into anger, and it was like a fire burning inside me. "So I'm not included in your family vacation. I'm not worthy of your time and attention, but they are. You don't even talk to them." Rico attempted to downplay my feelings, dismissing my concerns as trivial, but I had reached my breaking point. I knew that I deserved more than being an afterthought in my own marriage. Listen, Rose, I know you think that I'm being mean or unfair, but this is going to be good for my family and I. How many of you are going? It's going to be 13 of us. 13? I didn't even know you had that many people in your family. Who are they? Well, there's my mom and dad, obviously. And then there's my 4 siblings. Okay, that's 6 so far. Why are you trying to count all of them? Let me do it for you since you want to be difficult. Then there's my great aunt Sylvia, Uncle Richie, Auntie Sue, my cousins Janice, Henrietta, Rhea, and Gordon. You don't even know half of those people. At least I've never heard of them. This is a chance for me to get to know them better. Rico's words hung in the air, leaving me stunned. "You can't come on vacation, Rose. Someone needs to stay and take care of the big mansion." I scoffed, feeling my anger rising. "I'm not your maid, Rico. Taking care of the house is not my sole purpose in life. I deserve to be a part of your family and to be included in important moments." Rico's eyes narrowed, his tone dripping with condescension. "You're so spoiled, Rose. Always expecting to be pampered and catered to. Maybe you should appreciate what you have. You know how many women would kill to be in your position." The frustration was boiling inside of me, and I shot back, my voice filled with cheek. "Spoilt? No, Rico. It's truly evil is your lack of consideration and respect for me. I deserve to be treated as an equal, not as a servant in my own home." That night, the tension from our fight was all around. We went to our own rooms, and it felt like the gap between us was just getting bigger, showing how messed up our relationship had become. I couldn't sleep thinking about the mean things we said and how we ended up in this place. I knew this fight was just a sign of our deeper problems. Rico's way of brushing me off and not recognizing my value had chipped away at the foundation of our marriage. It was so obvious that I deserved better. I woke up feeling tired, still thinking about the argument from last night. As I rubbed my temples, I saw a letter on the dresser. I was curious and a bit worried, so I opened it, and it was in Rico's handwriting. What he wrote in the letter shocked me. Rico had left for a vacation with his family, leaving me to take care of the house. At first, I got really mad, but then I couldn't believe it. How could he think I'd just play the caretaker for his big mansion while he had fun with his relatives? I scoffed, and my voice was full of sarcasm. "Oh, how generous of you, Rico, leaving me behind to play maid in your absence. Well, newsflash, I'm not your servant." I spent the day drowning my sorrows, at least enjoying the bit of freedom I had without Rico around. Another day rolled by, and I had a pounding headache from last night's drinking. I gave in to a moment of weakness and opened my laptop, scrolling through Rico's social media posts. He was all smiles and pictures of his fun trip with his family. That just made me mad all over again, and it fueled my determination to make him hurt like he hurt me. I'd had enough of being mistreated and ignored. It was time for me to stand up and get my revenge. The idea of messing up Rico's perfect image excited me and made me feel strong. As days went on, I started to neglect the house on purpose. The dust settled everywhere, dishes piled up, and clutter took over. I found comfort in the mess, knowing it was sending a clear message. But then I realized if I really wanted to make a statement and teach Rico a lesson, I'd need some help. I called my closest friends and told them about my plan to mess up our once shared home. They were all in, and together, we set out to dismantle the last bits of our broken marriage. We turned over furniture, tore pictures from the walls, and wrecked cherished stuff. Every time we did something destructive, it felt like a release. I was taking back control and showing my worth after being in a relationship that made me feel small and unimportant. We kept going with our chaos campaign, day turning into night. We'd laugh in between the sounds of breaking glass and wood splitting, creating a mix of relief and rebellion. I knew my actions were extreme, but I felt like it was the right way to make Rico see the results of ignoring and neglecting me. When we were done, the once spotless house was a mess, just like our marriage. It showed the damage Rico had done to my spirit, and it also showed my determination to take my life back. Tired and needing a break from the chaos at the mansion, I decided to stay in a hotel. I just couldn't go back to that messed up house, even if I was the one who messed it up. The hotel was like a getaway from the remains of our broken home, a chance to catch my breath. But, even though I felt kind of satisfied after trashing the house, I wanted to push Rico's limits even more. I wanted him to fully get how badly he messed up. That's when I got an idea, involving my mischievous niece. My niece is a wild teenager who's good at causing trouble, so I asked her to throw a huge rager at the house. It was a bold move, but I thought it would make the chaos even crazier and mess up Rico's image of being in control. Hey, sweetie, can I talk to you about something? Or Aunt Rose, what's up? I need a favor to ask of you. What's up? Very well. I need you to throw a massive party at my place. I mean, a real rager. Invite all your friends and make it wild. Well, where are the cameras? You almost got me there, Aunt Rose. I'm being serious, Tia. I need you to do this for me. Why it's a bit complicated. Why are you asking so many questions? You should be jumping at this opportunity. I mean, it's a bit out of the blue, don't you think? Do you want to have free reign and booze in a big, beautiful house for a couple of hours or not? Are you sure about this? Won't it be a bit extreme? Oh, it's okay. I won't tell your mom. And as a bonus, I'll pay you to make it extra epic. I want you to be destructive. Shake things up a bit. Wait, what? Are you being serious? I'm dead serious. It's gonna be our little secret. I need some chaos in my life right now. Just do it, please. No questions asked. And I mean it, I'm not gonna snitch. Well, if you say so, Aunt Rose, this is gonna be epic. After talking with Tia and waiting for her and a couple of her gal pals to come and help decorate for their party, I left my niece to do her thing and left the mansion waiting to see what would happen. I was excited, imagining all the wild stuff that would go down. When I got back the next day, what I saw was beyond what I expected. The house, which was already a mess, had turned into a complete party disaster. There were solo cups everywhere, tissue paper stuck to things like confetti, and the smell of cheap booze filled the air. Don't even get me started on the different fluids. I found it everywhere. Ooh. The pool, which used to be all clean and nice, now looked like Shrek's swamp. It seemed like lots of people at the party had gone overboard. Bathrooms were a mess, with evidence of the wild night scattered in every nook and cranny. Seeing it was both gross and kind of exciting. At that moment, I couldn't help but feel a bit satisfied. Rico's fancy house had turned into a symbol of the results of his neglect, showing the destruction he'd caused. It was a fitting way to end a chapter of my life that had been filled with letdowns and mistreatment. Looking at the mess, I knew deep down that my plan had worked. The damage from the party, both my friends and my niece, had sent a strong message that Rico couldn't ignore. I'd shown I wouldn't be silenced or overlooked, and that my worth went way beyond a neglected marriage. As I looked at the aftermath, I felt a mix of emotions. There was some satisfaction in knowing I'd stood up for myself and got some payback, but there was also a lingering weight on my chest. It reminded me that while I sought revenge, true healing would only come from moving forward and rebuilding my life without him. Walking away from the trashed mansion, I felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. The mess at the house had done its job, and it was time for me to look ahead. Rebuilding my life would take time and effort, but I was dead set on creating a future that wasn't marred by neglect and was all about loving myself. As I strolled away from the disaster, I felt like I had a newfound sense of power. The house might have been in shambles, but I was no longer held back by my past. It was time to welcome the possibilities waiting for me, to shape a life that was truly mine. So I left behind both the wrecked mansion and the baggage it carried. With each step forward, I promised myself to make my happiness and well-being the top priorities. I knew I had what it takes to rebuild and thrive. The house might have crumbled, but I, Rose, was rising from the ashes, even stronger than before. 2 weeks had passed since Rico and his family went on their big vacation. I got the hint that Rico was back home because my phone blew up with a bunch of angry threats from him. It was pretty obvious he had come back to a wrecked mansion. When I answered the phone, I was ready for another showdown. Rico's voice came through, and it was clear he was seriously ticked off. "What have you done, Rose? What is this mess?" With a mixture of defiance and exhaustion, I responded, "I'm teaching you a lesson, Rico. You always overlooked me, thinking being a housewife is a walk in the park. Well, it's time you face the consequences." Rico sounded more desperate as he demanded, "Stop playing your games, Rose. Come back home and clean up this mess." "You're freaking crazy." I chuckled, a bitter edge to my voice. "Get someone else to do it, Rico. I'm never going back to you and your so-called big mansion. I deserve more than being treated as a mere housekeeper. And I might be crazy, but at least I'm no longer with sick scum like you." In a final attempt to save our failing relationship, Rico began to plead, his voice sounding desperate. "Love you, Rose. I'll change. Please give me another chance." A wave of sadness hit me as I knew his promises were too little, too late. "It's too late, Rico. Love isn't enough when respect and appreciation are absent. I deserve to be seen, heard, and valued." There was a pause on the other end, and it felt like our broken dreams were just hanging there in the silence, until he said, "But I love you." "It's too late, Rico. I've put up with your neglect and disrespect for far too long. I deserve better than this. Rose, please. I made a mistake, but I love you. I'll do whatever it takes to make it right. I'll change, I promise." "Change? You've had countless chances to change, Rico, and you never did. I can't keep waiting for something that may never happen. I deserve happiness and respect, and I won't settle for anything less. But Rose, we can work it out. We can start over and rebuild our relationship." "No, Rico. I've given you enough chances. I can't keep living in a toxic cycle. I deserve to be with someone who values and appreciates me. Someone who treats me as an equal partner. Please, don't leave me. I can't imagine my life without you. I forgive you for the mess. Just come back home, please." "I'm sorry, Rico, but it's over. I've made up my mind. I deserve to be happy, and staying with you won't bring me that happiness. It's time for me to move on and find someone who will cherish me." Rico started crying on the phone, probably feeling sorry for all the times he didn't appreciate me and treated me like I didn't matter. I took a deep breath and told him, "Love without action is meaningless, Rico. I hope you remain single and miserable." After hanging up the phone, a whirlwind of emotions hit me like a ton of bricks. There was relief, finally breaking free from a toxic relationship that had held me back. Sadness crept in too, as I acknowledged the end of a chapter that was once full of unfulfilled dreams. But most of all, I felt a glimmer of hope, the prospect of a brighter, happier future on the horizon. My journey to healing wasn't without its bumps. Loneliness and self-doubt crept in from time to time. Yet, I leaned on my friends and family who had always been there for me. They became my support system, helping me piece my life back together step by step. As days turned into months, I started to regain my sense of self. I rekindled my long lost passions, embraced new adventures, and basked in the warmth of genuine, supportive relationships. I rediscovered my own worth, and it felt like a breath of fresh air. Rico, the man who once took center stage in my life, faded into the background. Occasionally, I'd hear stories of his life through the grapevine. His fortune collapsed, and it seemed he was struggling to fill the void my absence had left. Despite the occasional updates, I knew I had made the right choice for my own well-being. It was a relief to know I was no longer tethered to the misery that once defined my existence.